Hello and welcome to the Everyday Adventure podcast. My name is Nicki Bass and I'm a business psychologist, army veteran and everyday adventurer. I will be sharing my conversations with some truly incredible guests who are weaving adventure into their daily lives. And I really hope that these conversations inspire you to undertake your own everyday adventures too. So here we are, come to the end of season 7 of the podcast, close to 100 episodes. A lot of very incredible, brilliant people that I have spoken to and had the deep privilege of spending an hour of their time chatting about all things adventure, and whether it's sport, whether it's psychological adventure, all of the things that have gone into their experience. And as always, I am deeply grateful to my guests who have shared their time. And I am deeply, deeply grateful to all of you who have listened and joined in these conversations, whether it is over Instagram or LinkedIn, or have emailed me or have been in touch, who have commented. All of it matters, because podcasting is a pretty solo pursuit in lots of ways, apart from my gorgeous editor, Fran, who I must mention at this point, that you don't see very much in terms of how it's received unless you have those conversations. And I know I'm excited by them. I enjoy them, but it's wonderful to hear that you're experiencing that too. So thank you so much. So in this final episode, I'm going to go back to a solo episode. I've spoken to some really brilliant people over the course of this last sort of 6 months or so. And there are so many more that I could keep sort of arranging interviews and keep talking to, but I thought it might be helpful to just come back and end this season on a slightly shorter episode, but a bit of a solo reflection on where I feel I've got to over the course of recording this season as well. But I wanted to first of all talk about something that comes up quite a lot in the conversations that I have, but also something that I constantly have to revisit, because there is so much else going on in the world that sometimes the question about one of the questions I was asked, and I was asked this during, so some of you will know that I am currently undertaking a professional doctorate. My day job is an occupational psychologist or organizational psychologist. I think it's referred to in other countries. I work with businesses and organizations and leaders and hopefully help to make the workplace a more enjoyable and more productive and a place where leaders and their teams can thrive. And that's really what drives me in my day job. But the doctorate that I am undertaking is focused on adventure activities, adventure intervention. So anybody who's been on an outdoor adventure intervention where you have gone and done team building or some form of activity with your company, that's the sort of area I'm interested in from a professional point of view. And I had an upgrade proposal. So I had to justify why I wanted to study this topic. And the question I got asked was, well, why does this matter? Now, obviously, that was in relation to my specific question, but I thought it would be interesting to broaden it out as to, well, why does adventure matter? And that's because there are so many other things that are going on that have importance in our lives. There are so many challenges in the world right now. And adventure can feel like a luxury. It can feel like something frivolous. It can feel like something that, we should only be doing if we've got a bit of free time, or it doesn't really matter. And certainly when I was answering that question, I was like, well, why does this matter? There are so many more important things that matter, surely. And that is true. But it is also true that one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about this broad concept of adventure is because of how I feel it underlines our approach to life. It's because, and that might sound very worthy, but I think it is important to understand why it is we feel passionate about something. And for me, adventure is about opening up. It's about opening up possibility. It's about opening up opportunity. It is about opening up our perspective of the world around us, of the people around us, of acknowledging that we actually know very little and that our own preconceptions may be wrong, and being prepared to be curious and challenge those too. And I find that when I practice adventure with a small a in the day-to-day aspects of my life, whether it is signing up for a club that I didn't know if I could do, speaking to somebody, and as somebody who's quite naturally introverted in a lot of ways, and who, I'm not somebody who walks into the middle of a party and starts, shouting to the crowd. Sometimes having a conversation with somebody when you're in your own internal world can feel quite challenging. It might be that the adventure is replying to an email or putting a proposal forward to somebody. There are so many ways in which adventure shows up in our lives. And I think it's important to recognize what it enables us to do and what happens when we stop being adventurous, when we go, okay, I'm just going to exist within the space that feels comfortable, the space that feels easy and possible. And there's a lot of time for that space. I do like feeling comfortable. I do like things to feel easy, and I don't always want to be feeling stressed and under pressure and uncertain. But the challenge is that when we stay within that comfortable place, what we are effectively doing is we are no longer trusting ourselves or placing trust in ourselves to be able to cope with things that we don't know, that things that feel uncertain or potentially unsafe. And the less we do it, the more that trust erodes effectively, the more we feel that actually this is the only arena that I can stay in. And then that impacts on our outlook. It impacts on what we are prepared to do, who we are prepared to speak to, what perspectives we are prepared to engage with. And that's a challenge because it means we end up feeling stuck. We end up existing in an echo chamber of our own thoughts or any people that we feel safe with or people that we know. It means that we stop challenging or being curious about what is possible and develop a sort of a finite sense of beliefs in what we're capable of and potentially in the capabilities of those around us too. So it links to so many different concepts. Some of you might be aware of the growth mindset by Carol Dweck, and she talks about, the idea of a growth and a fixed mindset. And in the end, the way that we develop a growth mindset, which is this sort of belief of infinite possibility in what we're capable of, rather than we've been given a fixed set of capabilities, that actually the way in which we develop is by taking risk. It is by testing our own hypotheses the whole time. Is it that I'm really bad at this? Is it that, my children are capable of this or not capable of it? Is it that I can or can't do this in a work situation? Is it that my team are not able to pick up this challenge that I've set them? So it narrows us down when we stay within our lane. And then what happens is when real life challenges hit us, when our resilience is really tested by, events involving our family, whether it is grief or loss, events involving our loved ones or ourselves in terms of workplace. So it might be that we lose our jobs or that we're having a very difficult time with our boss. It may be that our children are struggling at school or struggling with their mental health. There can be so many different challenges that life throws us, and I've only even scratched the surface. When we are used to existing within our comfort zone, within a space that feels safe and where we know the rules and where we feel in control, and we never test those boundaries, we never push at the edges, we never think, okay, maybe I need to step into that pace place of discomfort actively. When those events hit us, and they will because we cannot control what happens in life, then we are thrown so far out of our comfort zone. We have had no way of practicing or testing our resources. We have no way of checking whether we believe that we're capable of doing something. Do we have the tools and the support networks? Do we have the internal resources to be able to stabilize ourselves at some level? Whereas when we pursue adventure actively, when we look for opportunities to step outside of our comfort zone and test that trust, to build that trust in ourselves and our own internal resources, it builds a bank of knowledge, I like to call it, and some of you will hear me referring to this before, of it builds an internal muscle. It's like a core of resilience, as it were, and resilience in the sense of being able to adapt and change and trust ourselves that we've got this at some level, not the resilience that is often touted in the media and elsewhere, saying this is about grit and keeping going and digging in no matter what. So we build this internal core with our daily practice or our weekly practice of stepping outside of our comfort zone, even in small, miniature ways. And then when we are truly tested, we have a memory bank to go back to. It's the same as our muscle. We have muscle memory. We train our muscles for a big event. And we're doing that on a daily basis. And then when the big event happens, then, it still may throw us out. We may still take us a long time to recover, but we've done some training for it. So really what I'm talking about is this idea of adventure as training. It's training our brains. It's training our bodies. It is providing us with something solid and tangible that we can rely on, that we learn to trust ourselves. We'd learn to think, actually, I have some resources that enable me to manage when things get tough. And so if I go back to this question of, well, why does adventure matter? And it's not just about, wearing nice leggings as we go climbing up hills or whatever it may be, although that is a very important part of it. It is about developing a sense of belief in ourselves and developing our own trust in our own abilities and capabilities and our own ability to sit alongside uncertainty and know that we can manage when we don't know the answer and we don't know how things are going to go. And I think that is really pretty important for life, actually. So I'm going to leave it here. I really hope you've enjoyed this season. I really hope that you have enjoyed the guests and will go back through previous seasons and check out all the brilliant previous guests that I've spoken to. Every single conversation is precious because it brings in a different perspective, a different angle, a different way of looking at the world. So please do go and check them out. I would love to say that I'm taking a long pause and going on an exotic holiday. I'm not. School has just kicked back in. I'm in for the long haul back here in the UK in the sort of the autumn term, watching as the nights get darker and the weather gets colder. But yeah, hopefully it's still started to happen at the point at which you're listening to this. Or if you are in a sunnier part of the world, please do enjoy it on my behalf. And I'm also very excited to announce that actually there won't be that much of a break between the Everyday Adventure podcast season 7 and what comes next, because I'm absolutely thrilled to say that I have been working on a mini series with the wonderful team at Adventure Mind. So those of you who haven't heard of Adventure Mind, it is an initiative that was founded by Belinda Kirk. Belinda I've spoken to in previous podcast episode. And she's founded this brilliant community which comes together for a conference once a year to talk about some of the research and the background and enable practitioners in the adventure space to also benefit from some of the work that academics are doing and just connect people and also develop that research community further as well. So Linda and I have been working together to develop this mini-series. So I'm going to be speaking to some of her guests, some of her speakers from Adventure Mind, from previous conferences and also from the conference that's going to be happening in November. So keep an eye out for that, because that's going to be dropping. If you're a subscriber, that's going to be dropping into your feeds very soon. If you're not a subscriber, please do. I would love it if you could, wherever you prefer to listen to your podcast, please do come along. They will be in a similar vein to the mini-series we ran earlier this year with Nikki Chisholm, where sort of 15 to 20 minutes, quick intro to some of the brilliant people that are involved in this community and some of the reasons why Adventure Mind it's been so beneficial to them as well. So please do check it out. If you're going to be at Adventure Mind, hopefully I'll catch you there at the end of November. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this series. I wish you very wonderful next few months until the next season lands. And in the meantime, you might see a few additional developments coming your way. If you are interested in Substack, if you're familiar with that platform, the Everyday Adventure podcast will be launching on Substack. So I will keep you updated on that. You can follow me on Instagram, Everyday Adventure Pod, or Resilience at Work. You can find me on LinkedIn, Nicki Bass. You can find me via my website, resiliencework.co.uk. And I will keep you posted on all the latest developments there. In the meantime, wishing you well, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.